Hello and welcome to Wonder.wander homeschool. My name is Shauna and I am going over each of my my two children's, my third grader and my first grader's school year curriculums by the subject. So today we're going over math for first grade and math for third grade. My curriculum I use and I've been using and been very happy with is Math with Confidence. So other than the normal issues of somehow always running out of pencils and always can't find the ruler whenever you need it, it has been a really, really good curriculum. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very solid and it just starts a really good foundation for the kids. So let's get started. So we've got first grade Math with Confidence. My first grader, she has had a really tough time with her number sense. It has gotten better, but it's been a lot of trial and error this year. So Math with Confidence has been a great foundation for her. It didn't move too fast. She was able to finish it early this year, but I still did have to go back and review. And so for the rest of the school year, we've kind of been going through and going over the tens place, the ones place, and just kind of practicing it, because even though she could do it in the workbook and in the activities, it usually was kind of a lot of hand-holding for her because she just had a tough time. She had a hard time with mixing up some of her numbers, which is completely normal at this age. I did do the whole mom thing and get a little worried because her older sister never had that problem with, she had a few backwards numbers, but she didn't have as much of a problem with it. But it has just been really great for her to go through. It has been great because it is spiral and mastery at the same time. So you're learning everything, you're going through, and then it'll have you have a review section, the end of the lesson. So it'll be like a 26, lesson 26.2, B, 26.3, A. So there's like an A and a B. So it's like this page A, this page B, and then that is all the work. It's not too heavy. It's nice and light. It's just enough for review. And they also have really good activities before you get to the workbook. This is definitely one of those math curriculums that you do need to have the teacher's guide. Technically, you can always go through a workbook, right? That's kind of what we do over the summer for supplementary. You kind of get one that you can just work through. But this is super important, and they're not that expensive, which is a really nice thing, is that it's a very affordable curriculum, and it's very solid. I've used this for my third grader, and she's now in the third grade. So this is the first one, and it has Unit 1. It goes by units, and so it'll be Unit 1 is numbers 1 through 10, and there's 3 weeks of that. Unit 2, addition to 10. Unit 3, shapes. 4, subtraction to 10. Numbers to 20. Numbers to 100. So by the, week 17, you're getting to the 100th day of school and all that fun that is for first grade. I know you do that in kindergarten, and then we were able to kind of do that again for first grade. So the length, they do length and measurement, addition facts to 20, time and money, subtraction in the teens, which was where we started to have to slow down because she was doing so great when it was the facts to 10. And then once it got to the 15 to 20, it got a little bit tough for her. She had a hard time, which, it is hard because it also goes from the number saying their names to 15, which is kind of backwards to say the 5 before the teen, or the 10, So it's a little bit tough for someone when you remember that this is their first time really remembering all the number sense. Because, they saw all the numbers, but when you get up into the the 30s and the 40s and all that, if they don't catch on of that tens and ones place and that it goes, it just restarts the pattern, it's really hard to capture that. So my oldest really caught on really easily to that. So I didn't have that problem. So I was a little bit caught off guard when my first grader had so much trouble with it this year. But yeah, if you let's look at an example. That's the geometry is great. Let's see, subtraction facts here, write numbers to 20. So they always do a warm-up, count by 10s to 70. Oh my goodness, my phone. Count by 10s to 70, practice memory work, review subtracting from 10. It tells you exactly what you need. Whenever it says black line master, that's in the back of the book. You can find it. And then it also does make sure you have counters, and that is something that they recommend you have in a little math kit. And Any counters will do. I really love the counters that are like penguin. They're little ice cubes. And that was on Amazon that I found that from I think it's like a teacher store account. So if you look for penguin counters, you'll probably find it. And that was kind of fun because it's like the 10 frames are actually ice cubes that the penguins sit on, which, just makes it a little bit more fun. And they're all different colors. The kids definitely played with them and have absolutely lost some of them. So that is life, right? So I'll just have to make sure that I find as many as I can, hopefully by the time their brother starts using them. But otherwise, I think it was only $20. There's also, you can do the little coins, the little circles that are kind of like these little markers. You can get those as well. And they do have a master that has this on here, all the numbers, so as you're counting, and you can kind of just go over counting 2 by 10. So it's having you go all the way here and go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. And then they have you have activities, so introducing place value. So they go over the new stuff next. Understand the numbers from 11 to 20 as combinations of 10 and some more. So it kind of helps you simplify the way you're teaching it. So you're not just saying, oh, well, it's just 15. It's just 25. It's just whatever, it helps have them simplify it of it's 10. So here's a 10 frame. You can show the 10 frame, and then this is how many more. So it's really good for visual learners. And the biggest problem I had is I think my first grader just wanted to memorize everything and just move on. And so learning that patience, kind of helping to teach her that patience that she just has to work through problems and that it also is going to build in the future. So it's so important for her to learn that. Was a little bit tough to remind her, but it's just consistency at this age. So I had talked to mentors and all of that. And it was really encouraging just to be told, if you want a peaceful homeschool, you just have to trust the process, trust that these curriculums are solid, and that they are going to catch on. And they do. She really did. And she, like I said, she finished early. She still just needs some review because it's really easy for her to kind of loosely grasp a concept and then tend to forget it. So over summer, we will definitely be reinforcing that with supplements, which I will go over on a different video. So trace numbers to 20 in the workbook, and then the workbook, it says what pages to do. So that's, the activity. It's very script wise, the script style. So you just read it. You could read it to them, or you can read it. It tells you exactly what to do. You can say, let's pretend you collect eggs on a farm, and the 10 frames are cartons for the eggs. One day you find 14 eggs. Can you count out 14 counters? Well, that's 10, and how many more, you can ask. You can even say, let's put them in the 10 frame cartons. Do you think we'll fill up an entire 10 frame? And then it has like answers will vary. It lets you have even pauses. So it's a really brilliant curriculum. I'm sure most of you that have seen this video, I don't even know if anyone's going to watch it because everyone just already knows it is such a common it's becoming such a commonplace, solid curriculum that I just love so much. And then it has like the activities on Fridays. They have enrichment and review, which can be a book, like Can You Count to Google by Robert E. Wells. You can get it. Most of them are on YouTube, almost all of them, I believe. And then they have okay, well, then let's do the warm up. You review counting, review memory work, and they will have memory work that you can work on. So for example, have your child count to 70s by 1s, 2s, 5s, or 10s. Whatever they need more practice on. So it's really great to have it. And you could do this on your own, but it's also nice when it kind of has it filled in there and it gives you that day, that gives you that Friday to have it be review day. You can quiz your child on the memory work through week 12. See page 499. It has the full list of all the things they need to remember. I think some of them were as simple as what's a penny worth? And then some of them were where's your right hand? Where's your left hand? All these things reinforcing things that are just going to eventually, be things they're expected to know, and no one's going to be teaching it anymore once you get to a certain level. So, and they have enrichment activity numbers to 20 pantry scavenger hunt. They have a lot of scavenger hunts. Those are fun. They have a lot of games. It's a very game. There's a lot of games on here, and they love them. They also have the answer key at the back of every week, so you can look at them. Week 14. Here's the answer keys, so you can look back on that. It also gives you a checkpoint. So it says, okay, what to expect at the end of Unit 5. Well, by the end of this next unit, they should You know, they should be able to do all these things. They should be more confident. The whole point of this, that's why it's in the name. They want them to be confident. Is your child ready to move on? And it's okay. It even says, like, it's okay to stop and do more practice. It even tells you what to do if they need more practice. Well, spend a few days practicing the review activities. Recognize 20s 11 to 20 on the 10 frame without counting. 10 and some more chant. They have a chant that you can go like 10 and I think it's like 10 and 1 is 11. 10 and 2 is 12. 10. So sometimes it just whatever works for your kid. It gives you so many options to see for so many different types of learners, whether you're a kinesthetic learner, a visual learner, auditory learner. What am I missing? There's kinesthetic, visual, auditory. Oh, I cannot remember. Visual, auditory. I don't know exactly if there's another one. Maybe there's only 3. So anyways, so we're doing that. They even give you little pictures of how to just kind of compare length with your fingers. And then later they do, they do like an inch is about this. So this is kind of about what it is. And then they do have you cut up your own if you want. All of these are optional. It has them find things that are about an inch. And then, let's put your little bit of an inch against all these different items around the house. So it gets real life connection. I love the applications. So the pencil's about the rulers. The ruler, let's see, a little long as 7 inches. And then they bring in the ruler and they start teaching that. And they have, these are some of just the activities. They're very colorful, as you can see. I'll show you some more of this. Super colorful, a lot of graphs. They have bingos where it just helps them, like some subtraction bingo, and it'll tell you, go in the instructor guide. It'll give you the rules how to play. You play it a few times throughout on different pages. It'll show you when it's time. But yeah, everything's very colorful. They have a money section. They learn just the 30, the 30 minutes in and the o'clocks at this age. They do all of these. It does not get boring, and I love that. They get to color in what are the right shapes. They have little stepstones to help them do 2, 4, 6, 8. And then fractions. These are some of my favorite. I think this reinforces it so well for them, and they love the challenge of being like, okay, this plus this, which one equals this? Same thing with subtraction. They do it with multiplication as they get older, and they do it with division as they get older, like my 3rd graders. They also do pattern blocks. They love playing with pattern blocks at this age. It's so great for them for problem solving, and it helps them just use their creativity even in math, which sometimes can kind of get a bad rap for thinking it has to be so logical, but it is pretty nice to be able to do some art and see how much art is really part of math. I think some of the books are about that too, so it's pretty awesome. They do fact families. And everything on here has just been such a solid beginning for my daughter. So I highly recommend Math with Confidence, especially for 1st grade math. These are some other options I've used to help supplement at the end, just to kind of review and kind of get these ideas in. They have a copy of this, but I did have a hundreds chart that was already kind of, I don't think it's laminated, but it's like a thicker paper. So she was able to use this to look at. This helped her a lot. It was like her little security blanket for numbers when she's having a hard time with her number sense. I also tried when she was having a hard time with addition and subtraction. I would take out these and I'd go, okay, well, here's 3. Which way is less than? And she'd go this way. And that helped her, so how many less than 3? Well, it's 3 minus 2. All right, 1, 2. And what number are we at? 1. Okay. And so we would do that. And we did that with the double number, with the teens, and we did it with the double digits. That helped a lot. Obviously she can pretty much do these ones up to 10, no problem, back and forth. But just the counting down, for some reason, something in her brain just freaks out and gets scared when it's like 32 or 48 minus 6, something that goes past where it's no longer the tens place changes. She gets a little confused, and I think more than getting confused, she gets a little nervous that she's going to mess up, and it causes her to kind of have a brain freeze. So just being gentle and having a lot of patience for anyone who's teaching math and nervous about that. That is a huge key. So I also did Beast Academy with her, Math 1B, to kind of review. It was pretty cool. She really liked the stories, and they would kind of reinforce all of the things she learned in Math with Confidence with the stories. And they had different activities that they would do that are similar worksheets. So they'd have the pictures and be like, okay, let's add these. And they did it in a lot of different ways. So if you're someone who likes to kind of figure out different ways to go around logic-wise, they did do that. Some of them I did not do. I skipped over because of the ways that they would be a little bit confusing when I was just trying to get really some clarity for her on what strategy works for her. So some of these would be like, here's the equal sign, they'd have the other side, and that was not as helpful as I wanted it to be. So these ones were great with the 10 frames. And the takeaway 10, those are great. These kind of logic things she would not do. And so I didn't even try, because she just really needs to get more structure before trying to do all these different roundabout ways to get the answers. But it is really great, especially if you have a more number sense minded child. You would probably love Beast Academy. It is, I think it's the same level of advance. It just doesn't really hold your hand as much when you do the workbooks. I am guessing if you did the online version, they have a lot more of tutorials and stuff. But this was more for a supplement, so I didn't want to do that. But yeah, this little view into Beast Academy. I know that people talk about it online all the time, so it's nice to kind of see a little bit of it and how they do things. And it's really great when they get older, I'm sure, to these kind of little logic challenges too. Good for their brain, good brain teasers, right? Just to remind them of that. I did love this. She laughed a lot because her cousin does the Pokemon cards, and she laughed because these cards, I don't know if I can find it again, they say like real life animals when it was, they're like Pokemon, but because they're monsters, the real life things are like, those don't exist. So it's pretty funny. So that was for categories. Yeah, and then at the end they have the answers you need. They have categories at the ends, and they want you to kind of show how to put them in categories. So that was something that was not in Math with Confidence. So isn't necessarily that Math and Confidence has everything that you can do, but it gets a really, really solid foundation for your children. And that is why I love it. I will work on the other stuff. They can kind of stretch the different ways that they do different styles of math as they get older, but I really want them to be solid with their addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, especially before they enter the grades where they start doing algebra, because otherwise it just all is it all builds on that foundation. So I know that was a super long video, especially just for first grade. The third grade is also pretty great. I can't say good enough things about it. My daughter can be pretty independent on these now. We will go over these for the warm-ups when it's a new concept. If it's something that she already kind of, especially at the beginning, if she already knew it was like review, she knows bar graphs, I let her just do the workbook. But it was also nice to have these to remind her of the different things that she's learned. They have climb and slide. They have more games. They start taking out the different number blocks where they're connected in like the tens and the hundreds and the I don't think we use thousands. I mean, you could, but we didn't need to. Just to start doing the 70 minus 6. So 1 digit and mental subtraction review. That was really helpful. These were great. I recommend getting a box on Amazon of those. They're not counters, but they are just the different tens and ones and hundreds, so that you can use that to really work on these bigger numbers to kind of get the ideas of the tens place. And they really reinforce tens place and hundreds places where they introduce, and thousands place this in the third grade year. And so they did multiplication. They do it by the different numbers. So they start with like, let's see, 3s and 4 facts, and then 1s and 2s facts, and then they go up to the higher numbers. So ideally, I recommend you have them memorize their multiplication facts. My daughter still is fighting against that. She does not want to memorize them. She wants to just rewrite the page every day. So eventually she kind of is memorizing them without realizing it. She's just making it a lot harder on herself. So if you want to encourage your child to have an easier time on it, highly recommend that they memorize their multiplication tables throughout this year. You don't have to have it beforehand, but it is great when they start getting to multiplication to already be able to go quickly on it. They do have different chants, and they have different games to reinforce the multiplication facts and the division facts, because once you get to division, I was really nervous about division because I wasn't the greatest at math in high school and in junior high, and I think it was once it got into the more division and stuff, I thought it got harder for me. And it really is just it's as simple as if you have multiplication facts memorized. The division is super easy. It's just doing it the other way. And that's been really nice to be like, well, you don't know what, see, 25 divided by 5 is? Well, what's 5 times what equals 25? And they do that same thing in the first grade, not in the first grade, but I think second grade. They do that as well, where it's like the 2 plus what equals. And it's like, that's the minus. You find the minus to get the plus. You do the multiplication to find the division. So it's really great. I really love it. I can't say anything like better about it. They also get the parents involved where you do games. My daughter loves to say, I win. I did get these to have her help memorize and a audiobook version where it's a bunch of songs, multiplication tables, and she will go over these every once in a while if I force her to, but it's like pulling teeth. So I will just have to have her do it for, 5 to 10 minutes over the summer every day so she can really get it solid. But once she gets it, she's going to be like, wow, this is so easy. But yes, again, very colorful. They do it in the idea of cookies. So you can even use real cookies if you want to when you're introducing ideas. And if this thing where you can spin it, sometimes you can put a spinner on if you want. Sometimes you can do a paperclip. I will sometimes just take my pencil and just kind of tap down with my eyes closed, and we'll work on doing the player 1, player 2. Like she says, she's like, I win. So yeah, they reinforce it in so many different ways. It's just really awesome. They have like a kind of like a board game. They go and remind them to count by ones, count by hundreds, count by tens, and the bigger numbers. And at first, when I first showed her the book, I love when I can show them the book at the beginning of the school year, and they are just shocked. They're just like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. She still has a few more weeks. But then we get to it and she's like, oh, I remember this. I remember when I was like, wow, that was so hard. So, it was so simple once she got to it. So it's really cool when they're like, oh my gosh, that's such a big number. And then when they learn how to do it, they're like, this is awesome. I've got this. Hence the whole idea of math with confidence, right? This also has 2. This is part B. So the part A book is starting with the first half of the concepts. The second book starts at unit 9. So let's see, lesson 11, and these ones are a little different. They do have a lot more work. They have one page that'll be an activity page that you do in here with them, and it's also in their book that you do the page with them. So let me do there is, so lesson activities right here, and these will be the activity kind of going with it. And then they'll have practice for them, which as they get it, if they really understand the concept, it's really nice because then I can go help her sister while she works on this. And then there's a review section, which she definitely should be able to start doing on her own, and she does. Other than the fact of occasionally I have to check up on her because she will sometimes miss 1 or 2 and I have to go through and be like, hey, you have to go back and do those. So, but yeah, overall, it's just great. I thought she was going to hate math because she really had a struggle in first grade, not the same way as her sister, but more of she just didn't seem to like numbers. And now she loves how it's almost like a nice challenge for her that she really loves to be like, look what I can do. Look at these big numbers I can do. And she loves the telling time and kind of being able to be a know-it-all, what else could you ask for, right? So thank you for listening in. I know it was a very long-winded talk about math, but Math with Confidence by Kate Snow. Highly recommend, cannot recommend enough, especially if you do not have a super strong math-minded kid. It is great for that. You can have a math-minded kid and they can still love it because it's fun to do. There's a lot of games. There's a lot of using different types of learning styles. I think it just is so student-centric. So I really, really appreciate it. And I'm very thankful for Kate Snow for putting this together. She only does do up to 6th grade. She's working on the 6th grade curriculum this year. And I think she will be done after that. And so basically her hope is that it'll be such a strong foundation that it is all ready to go by the time they get done with her books to go into an algebra course, a pre-algebra course, an algebra course, and so on, with success and with confidence. So Math with Confidence. Thanks for, hope you guys have a wonderful week as we're getting closer and closer to summer. Good luck with finishing up your school year. I wish you well, and God bless.